You've been lied to about success. They told you hustle equals progress, grind harder, sleep less, burn out proudly. Meanwhile, the people actually winning, they're doing less than you, way less, and they're lapping you. Let me tell you something that's going to flip your entire understanding of success upside down. The most successful people on earth are lazy. Strategically lazy, intelligently lazy. They've mastered the art of doing less but achieving more. While you're busy being busy, they're being selective. While you're grinding on everything, they're focused on the only things that matter. While you're wearing exhaustion like a badge of honor, they're well rested and winning. A quote often attributed to Bill Gates says, "I choose a lazy person to do a hard job because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it." That's not an insult, that's recognition of genius. Lazy people don't want to waste energy, so they innovate, they automate, they systematize. They find the path of least resistance that produces maximum results. That's not weakness. That's intelligence. You think Elon Musk is in the trenches doing every task. You think Warren Buffett is grinding 18 hours a day on busy work. You think the wealthiest people you know are the hardest workers. They're not. They're the smartest workers. They've figured out how to be lazy in all the right ways, and that's what I'm about to teach you. This isn't about being unproductive. This isn't about sitting on the couch binge-watching Netflix. This is about strategic laziness, about understanding that your energy is finite and precious, about realizing that doing everything means you're doing nothing that matters, about learning that the path to extraordinary results isn't more effort, it's better effort, smarter effort, lazy genius effort. If you're tired of being exhausted with nothing to show for it, if you're ready to learn how to achieve more by doing less, if you want to understand why your laziness might actually be your greatest asset, then comment "lazy genius" right now, because what I'm about to show you is going to change everything you thought you knew about success. Here's what nobody tells you. Rich people are obsessed with leverage. And what is leverage? It's finding ways to get maximum results from minimum input. It's being too lazy to do things the hard way. It's asking, how can I get this outcome without doing all this work? That question right there, that's how empires are built. You're out here proud of how hard you work, how many hours you put in, how much you sacrifice. And the millionaires are laughing, not because they don't respect hard work, but because they stopped trading time for money years ago. They were too lazy to keep doing that. So they built systems, they hired people, they automated processes, they created leverage. Now they work less and earn more, while you work more and stay broke. Think about it. Every major innovation in human history came from someone being too lazy to do things the hard way. The wheel? Someone was too lazy to carry heavy stuff. The internet? Someone was too lazy to go to the library. Uber? Someone was too lazy to call a cab company. Amazon? Someone was too lazy to go to the store. Your laziness is a compass pointing toward innovation, toward efficiency, toward better ways. But here's where most people get it wrong. They're lazy about the wrong things. They're lazy about the things that matter, the things that build, the things that create value. They'll spend 6 hours scrolling social media. That's lazy. But they won't spend 1 hour building a system that could make them money while they sleep. That's also lazy, but the wrong kind. Strategic laziness means being lazy about the busy work so you can focus on the high-leverage activities. The wealthy understand something profound. Effort is not the goal. Results are the goal. And if you can get the same results with less effort, you're not being lazy, you're being brilliant. They don't care about hours worked. They care about value created. They don't measure success by how tired they are. They measure it by what they built while everyone else was grinding themselves into dust. You know what the difference is between you and them? They asked better questions. Instead of, how hard do I need to work? They asked, how can I make this easier? Instead of, how many hours should I put in? They asked, how can I get this done in half the time? Instead of, how much can I do? They asked, what can I eliminate? That shift, that laziness-driven innovation, that's where wealth is created. Look at any billionaire's schedule. They're not in back-to-back meetings all day. They're not responding to every email. They're not doing all the tasks. They have massive blocks of empty time. Time to think, time to strategize, time to see the bigger picture. Because they're too lazy to stay in the weeds, too lazy to do everything themselves, too smart to confuse activity with achievement. Your laziness is trying to tell you something. It's saying there has to be a better way. Listen to it, because that voice, that's innovation speaking. That's your brain trying to optimize. That's your natural intelligence pushing you toward leverage. The problem isn't that you're lazy. The problem is you're not lazy enough in the right ways. The 80-20 principle. Why lazy people win. You're doing too much, way too much, and 80% of what you're doing doesn't matter at all. It's just making you feel productive while keeping you poor. The lazy genius knows something you don't. 20% of your actions create 80% of your results. So why would you waste energy on the 80% that produces nothing? Successful people are ruthlessly lazy about eliminating the unnecessary. They look at their to-do list and ask, what can I not do? They look at their meetings and cancel half of them. They look at their projects and kill the ones that aren't moving the needle. They're too lazy to waste time on things that don't matter, and that laziness makes them rich. You think you need to be everywhere, do everything, say yes to everyone. The lazy genius says no to almost everything, not because they're arrogant, because they're smart. Every yes to something that doesn't matter is a no to something that does. Every hour spent on busy work is an hour not spent on high-value work. Every meeting that could have been an email is time stolen from building something real. Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger sit around and read most of the day. That's it. They're not grinding. They're not hustling. They're reading and thinking. They're too lazy to run around being busy, and they're worth billions because they focus that energy on the few decisions that actually matter. One good investment decision made after hours of lazy thinking is worth more than 1,000 busy actions. The lazy genius understands opportunity cost. Every time you do something, you're not doing something else, so they choose carefully. They're lazy about everything except the vital few activities that create exponential returns. They'll spend 3 days thinking about one decision. They'll spend weeks designing one system. They'll say no to 90 opportunities to say yes to the one that could change everything. You're trying to do it all. That's why you're going nowhere. The lazy genius picks one thing, maybe two, and they become exceptional at those things while being completely mediocre at everything else. They're too lazy to be good at everything, so they focus on being great at the things that pay, the things that matter, the things that compound. Think about this. You probably work way harder than most rich people. You're doing more tasks, more hours, more sacrifice, but they have more results. Why? Because they're lazy about the low-value work and obsessed with the high-value work. They've identified the 20% that matters, and they're too lazy to waste time on the 80% that doesn't. That's not a work ethic problem. That's a focus problem. That's a strategic laziness problem. Your exhaustion isn't a badge of honor. It's a sign you're working on the wrong things. The lazy genius looks at exhausted people and thinks they're doing it wrong.
Because extraordinary results shouldn't require extraordinary effort. They should require extraordinary focus on the few things that actually move the needle. Everything else, delegate it, automate it, eliminate it. Be too lazy to do it yourself. Automation: how lazy people build empires. You know what separates you from wealthy people? They're too lazy to do the same task twice. They do something once, they systematize it, they automate it, they never touch it again. Meanwhile, you're manually doing the same things over and over, wondering why you're stuck. That's not dedication, that's insanity. And the lazy genius refuses to participate. Every successful business owner I know is fundamentally lazy. They hate repetitive work. They hate manual processes. They hate doing things that could be done by a system or another person. So they invest their energy up front to build systems that run without them. Then they're free. Free to think, free to create, free to identify the next opportunity, while you're still manually processing orders or answering the same questions for the 100th time. The lazy genius thinks, if I have to do this more than twice, I need a system. They document the process, they create templates, they write scripts, they hire someone, they use software. They do whatever it takes to never do that task manually again. Is that lazy? Absolutely. Is that how you build wealth? 100%. You think building systems is hard work. It is, initially, but it's the lazy person's hard work. It's the work you do once so you never have to work that hard again. It's the ultimate expression of strategic laziness. I'm too lazy to do this forever, so I'm going to work hard for a week to set up a system that does it for me forever. That's genius. That's leverage. That's how you escape the time for money trap. Amazon is run by systems. McDonald's is systems. Every successful business is just a collection of systems operated by people who are too lazy to figure everything out from scratch every day. They follow the playbook. The playbook is the lazy genius solution to having to think and decide and work hard on the same problems repeatedly. Right now, think about your day. How many things did you do today that you've done before? How many questions did you answer that you've answered 10 times? How many tasks did you complete that you'll have to complete tomorrow? All of that is opportunity. Opportunity to be lazy. Opportunity to systematize. Opportunity to free yourself from repetitive work so you can focus on creative, high-value work. The wealthy automate their income. They build businesses that generate revenue while they sleep. They create products once and sell them infinitely. They write code that works forever. They record content that pays forever. They're too lazy to trade hours for dollars, so they build assets that compound. That's not magic. That's strategic laziness applied to wealth creation. You're still trading time for money because you haven't been lazy enough. You haven't asked, how can I get paid while doing nothing? You haven't demanded that your work compound. You haven't insisted on building something that works when you don't. And until you do, you'll stay on the treadmill, working hard, going nowhere, while the lazy geniuses build empires that run without them.
Delegation, the art of productive laziness. You're doing things right now that cost you money. Not because the tasks need to be done, but because you're doing them yourself when someone else could do them cheaper and better. Your time is worth, let's say conservatively, $100 an hour if you're focused on high-value work. But you're spending that time on $10 an hour tasks because you can't let go. That's not admirable. That's expensive, and the lazy genius refuses to pay that price. Rich people are too lazy to do things someone else can do. They hire, they delegate, they outsource, not because they can't do the work, but because they're too smart to waste their expensive time on cheap tasks. They do the math.
If I'm spending 5 hours a week on this $10 an hour task, that's $50 in task value, but $500 in my time. I'm losing $450 a week by being too proud to delegate. The lazy genius sees that and immediately hires someone. You think you can't afford help. The truth is, you can't afford not to have help. Every hour you spend on low-value work is an hour you're not spending on the activities that could transform your income, the activities that could build wealth, the activities that could create freedom. You're staying poor because you're too hardworking to be lazy enough to delegate. The wealthy have assistants, they have teams, they have people who handle everything that isn't their unique genius. And no, you don't need to be rich first to do this. You can hire a virtual assistant for $5 to $15 an hour right now, today, to handle all the repetitive, low-value tasks eating your time. But you won't, because you think doing everything yourself is noble. It's not. It's stupid and expensive. The lazy genius asks, "What's the highest and best use of my time?" Then they do only that. Everything else, someone else's problem. They're too lazy to answer emails all day. Hire an assistant. Too lazy to edit videos. Hire an editor. Too lazy to manage social media. Hire a manager. Too lazy to do bookkeeping. Hire an accountant. They're not incompetent, they're strategic. They're protecting their energy for the few things that actually create wealth. You're afraid to delegate because you think no one can do it as well as you. Maybe that's true. Maybe they'll do it at 80% of your quality. But if that frees you to focus on the one thing that could 10x your income, who cares? 80% efficiency on a $10 task while you focus on a $1,000 task. That's the trade every lazy genius makes, and that's why they're rich while you're tired. Stop wearing "I do everything myself" like a badge of honor. It's a scarlet letter marking you as someone who doesn't understand leverage. The lazy genius builds a team, builds systems, builds leverage, and focuses their personal energy on the absolute highest value activities. That's not laziness, that's mastery. That's how empires are built, by people who are too lazy to do everything themselves. The power of doing nothing. This is going to blow your mind. Some of the most profitable decisions you will ever make will happen when you're doing absolutely nothing, when you're staring at the wall, when you're taking a walk, when you're in the shower, when your brain has space to breathe, to connect dots, to see patterns, to generate insights. But you never give yourself that space because you think doing nothing is wasting time. The lazy genius schedules nothing time. Time to think, time to strategize, time to see the bigger picture. They're too lazy to stay in the weeds of execution all the time. They know that one insight during a lazy afternoon could be worth more than a month of hard work, so they protect that time ferociously. While you're grinding through your task list, they're having the million-dollar idea. Bill Gates takes think weeks. He literally goes away with books and does nothing but think. Warren Buffett's calendar is mostly empty. He sits and thinks and reads. These aren't people who are afraid of hard work. They're people who understand that the highest leverage activity isn't doing. It's thinking. It's strategizing. It's seeing what everyone else is too busy to see. You're so busy executing that you never step back to question whether you're executing the right things. You're so deep in the forest that you can't see you're walking in circles. The lazy genius climbs a tree, gets perspective, sees the entire landscape, realizes there's a road just 50 yards to the left that leads exactly where they want to go. They save themselves months of grinding by being too lazy to blindly keep working without thinking. Your best ideas won't come when you're stressed and busy. They'll come when you're relaxed and bored, when your default mode network can activate, when your subconscious can process, when you have the mental space for creativity. But you never have that space because you've convinced yourself that every moment needs to be productive. The lazy genius knows that sometimes the most productive thing you can do is absolutely nothing. History's greatest innovations didn't come from people grinding harder. They came from people who had time to think differently. Einstein developed relativity while working a lazy patent clerk job with lots of downtime. Newton developed gravity theories while lounging under a tree. Archimedes had his eureka moment in the bath. These weren't people grinding 18-hour days. They were people whose minds had space to create. Schedule lazy time, guilt-free, phone off, doing nothing time. Not as a reward, as a strategy, as the highest leverage activity you can possibly engage in. Because that's when the million-dollar insights happen. That's when you see what everyone else is missing. That's when your lazy brain does its most valuable work. And if that feels uncomfortable, if that feels like you're wasting time, good. That means you're conditioned to be busy instead of effective. And the lazy genius is breaking that conditioning right now.
Energy management, why lazy people outlast hustlers. You know what happens to the people who grind 24/7? They burn out. They quit. They break. Their bodies give out. Their minds give out. Their relationships collapse. And all that hustle, it stops permanently. Meanwhile, the lazy genius is still going, still building, still winning. Not because they're tougher, because they're smarter about energy management. They're too lazy to burn themselves out. Successful people treat their energy like the finite resource it is. They don't spend it on everything. They don't grind themselves into the ground. They rest strategically. They recover intentionally. They say no to things that drain them. They design their lives around sustainable high performance, not short-term heroic effort that ends in collapse. You think the answer is more discipline, more willpower, more push. The lazy genius knows that willpower is finite and discipline is exhausting. So they design systems that don't require either. They make the default option the healthy option. They eliminate decisions that drain energy. They automate good behavior. They're too lazy to rely on motivation, so they engineer their environment instead. The hustle culture people are dropping like flies. Burnout, depression, health problems, failed relationships, and they wear it as a badge of honor. Look how much I sacrificed. The lazy genius looks at that and thinks, what a waste. Because you can't build an empire if you're broken. You can't create wealth if you're sick. You can't enjoy success if you're too exhausted to live. Strategic laziness is also strategic self-preservation. Think about athletes. The best ones don't train 24/7. They train hard, then they rest hard. They understand that growth happens during recovery, not during work. The lazy genius applies this to everything. Work hard on the right things, then be completely lazy about recovery. Rest without guilt, recharge without shame, because the next work session is only as good as the recovery that preceded it. You're proud that you can function on 5 hours of sleep. The lazy genius gets 8 and performs better than you. You're proud that you work weekends.
The lazy genius protects their weekends and still produces more than you. You're proud that you haven't taken a vacation in years. The lazy genius takes regular vacations and is wealthier than you. Starting to see the pattern? Your hustle mentality is keeping you poor and tired. The wealthy are lazy about protecting their energy. They don't say yes to things that drain them. They don't spend time with people who exhaust them. They don't work on projects that demotivate them. They're ruthlessly selfish about their energy management because they know that energy is the foundation of everything. No energy, no execution. No execution, no results. So they're too lazy to waste energy on anything that doesn't serve their highest goals. Stop glorifying exhaustion. Start glorifying strategic laziness. The person who works 12 focused hours and rests 12 hours will beat the person who works 16 scattered hours every single time, because focused energy beats scattered effort, and sustainable energy beats short-term heroics. The lazy genius understands this. That's why they're winning, while you're wondering why you're so tired all the time. The final truth: your laziness is your competitive advantage. Here's what I need you to understand. You've been lied to about what creates success. They told you it's about working harder than everyone else. It's not. It's about working smarter than everyone else. And smart work looks lazy to people who don't understand leverage, systems, and strategic thinking. The most successful people are lazy in all the right ways. They're lazy about doing low-value work, lazy about being busy for the sake of busy, lazy about grinding when there's a smarter path, lazy about doing things themselves when someone else can do them, lazy about staying in execution mode when they should be in strategic thinking mode. And that laziness, that's their superpower. You've been conditioned to feel guilty about your laziness, to think there's something wrong with you because you want to find the easier way. But that instinct, that's innovation talking. That's intelligence pushing you toward better methods. That's your brain refusing to waste energy on inefficiency. Listen to it, embrace it, weaponize it. Every time you think there has to be an easier way, you're on the edge of a breakthrough. Every time you're too lazy to do something manually, you're about to innovate. Every time you refuse to grind harder and instead ask, "How can I work smarter?" you're thinking like a millionaire. Your laziness isn't the problem. Your guilt about your laziness is the problem. The lazy genius isn't lazy about everything. They're lazy about the right things. They still work, they still build, they still push, but they push in the right direction, on the right activities, with the right leverage. They're not working 18 hours a day on busy work. They're working 4 focused hours on high-value work, then being completely lazy about everything else, and they're building empires. Right now, you have a choice. You can keep grinding, keep being busy, keep wearing exhaustion like a medal, keep doing everything yourself, keep refusing to automate, delegate, or systematize, keep feeling guilty about wanting things to be easier. Or you can become a lazy genius. You can embrace strategic laziness. You can work smarter instead of harder. You can create leverage instead of trading time. You can create systems instead of repeating tasks. You can focus on the vital few instead of the trivial many. Your laziness is trying to show you a better way. Stop fighting it. Start listening to it. Channel it. Direct it. Use it. Because the lazy genius inside you is the one who's going to build wealth. The hustler version of you, that's the one that's going to burn out broke. Choose carefully. If this fundamentally shifted how you see success, hit that like button right now. Not because you're lazy, because you're smart enough to recognize truth when you hear it. Share this with someone who's been grinding themselves into dust, thinking that's the path. Send it to someone who needs permission to work smarter instead of harder. They need this. Subscribe because I'm going to keep showing you how the wealthy actually think versus what they tell you, how they actually build versus what looks good on social media, how they actually operate versus the hustle porn everyone else is selling. You need this information because the game is rigged, but not in the way you think. It's rigged in favor of the lazy geniuses, and now you know how to be one. Comment lazy genius if you're ready to stop glorifying exhaustion and start embracing strategic laziness. If you're ready to work smarter, if you're ready to build leverage, if you're ready to achieve more by doing less, if you're ready to let your laziness be your competitive advantage instead of your shame, let me know you're in. The world is divided into two groups: people who are tired and broke, and people who are strategic and wealthy. The difference isn't work ethic, it's whether they're fighting their laziness or weaponizing it. You now know the truth. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Be lazy, be smart, be strategic, be wealthy. That's the formula, and it's been in front of you this whole time.